The bearish Bitcoin fractal is over. We've seen a breakout beyond the phase A to B. We've seen Bitcoin just break out beyond the lower high resistance, invalidating phase B, invalidating this bearish Bitcoin fractal. What's next in that case? That's why we need to really dissect what's going on with Bitcoin at around the levels that it's getting close to. And we'll be talking about some really interesting analysis going forward, what to watch out for, what to look out for. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like videos like this if you enjoy it going forward, and let's dive right into it. So the Bitcoin bearish fractal, it's over. It's really over. The macro downtrend right over here has been broken. Price was holding the bull market EMAs as a support quite nicely, and it broke beyond 32k resistance. Those were the invalidation criteria, and all three of them have been met, and now we're seeing continuation towards the upside. So the bearish fractal is over. And now we need to turn our attention to a historical support that saw price rebound to new all-time highs and rebound into a relief rally. But before then, we saw price upside wick and reject from here. And in fact, we are currently at the same price levels that Bitcoin was in an uptrend in February 2021, rejecting from the same resistance. We're right here at this 35k resistance area. This is what we need to turn into a new support, because that's going to be the next resistance here. After breaking out from this sideways channel, we never really formed a sideways channel here before. We just broke beyond it quite swiftly. But here we had a resistance period forming a sideways channel. And if we do drop back into this channel, that's going to be an area of demand rather than resistance like we saw over the past few months for the majority of this year. So this area could be a point of rejection. That's why we need to break beyond here, turn it into a support to rally to 47k, which would be the next major resistance. You can see that right over here, upside wicking beyond here, rejected price in early 2021, rejected price from here as well, mid 2021 as well. And here finally early 2022 is where we rejected from here as well. So that's going to be a major resistance should we get there to 47k. But in the meantime, we need to reclaim this 35k, 39k area as a support to even rally to that next resistance area. So if we reject from here, we'll probably drop into this area of old resistance for a new area of support to develop there, which could enable further upside back into this area. But what if we just break beyond here in one go and actually manage to reclaim this as a support to springboard higher? Those are some of the things to watch out for. But midterm, we need to really focus on what's going on midterm, because in the past, we have these halvings here. These blue vertical lines represent the halving events. And what we've seen in the past is pre-halving periods. Like in pre-halving 2016, we saw price overextend to as high as this trend line at an 8-degree angle, reject from there, pull back, and then after the halving, when we broke beyond this trend line, we were able to retest it as a support in the black circle and rally to new all-time highs. So these two orange circles, pre-halving shows us that we're going to see a rejection in the orange circle, getting us into a pre-halving retrace. But post-halving, that orange circle changes and we break beyond this trend line, and the black circle showcases that we successfully retest this trend line as a support to springboard us to new all-time highs. So in 2019, we've seen many orange circles rejecting on so many occasions from this 8-degree trend line. So many occasions, but after having that last orange circle is what gets us to break beyond this trend line. Black circle showcases that we successfully retest this and rally to new all-time highs. So the case here could be made for a revisit to this black 8-degree trend line at around maybe 40k or so, maybe even a little bit higher at this point. Really depends on how quickly price moves towards the upside, because this is a declining trend line, which means that it's going to be representing lower and lower and lower prices. After the halving, it's going to represent approximately 40k, 39k or so. But one of the things to note here is that we haven't yet revisited this trend line like we've seen in 2019, like we've seen in 2015. So it's possible we could, pre-halving, revisit this region if things really do take off, if we reclaim this area as a support. So we could springboard into that region, reject from there, going into the halving for a pre-halving retrace. Like we've seen in the past, pre-halving retraces do tend to occur. So a pre-halving retrace could occur after rejection from this trend line resistance, and that pre-halving retrace would see us go into a 20% or 38.5% retrace, depending on how deep it goes. We've seen deeper retracements, we've seen shallower retracements. In the pre-halving period, 20% retrace is what occurred here in 2020, and a 38% retrace occurred in 2016. So what sort of retrace could we see in 2024 around the halving event? But we just have to understand that that sort of pre-halving retrace would be an accumulation period, a reaccumulation period to add to our Bitcoin positions in preparation for the post-halving parabolic rally. And of course, after the pre-halving retrace, we'll probably recover back above this trend line, turn it into a support, and break beyond old all-time highs to enter a parabolic rally after the halving to new all-time highs. That's what we've seen in the past. Just simply breaking above this trend line, turning into a support in the black circle, and then rallying to new all-time highs. Once again, here, post-halving 2016, break beyond the trend line, turn it into a new support in the black circled area here, and then rally to new all-time highs. That's something to expect after the halving, most likely. But until then, scope for upside, there is some scope. But there is also scope for a deeper retrace, a rejection from there, should we even get there, and a pre-halving retrace could be quite deep going into the halving. But after the halving, we'll probably see a period of some sort of reaccumulation at highs and wrestling with this trendline resistance, but we'll probably reclaim this as a new support and rally to new all-time highs. So really important not to get shaken out after the halving, but even more important not to get shaken out before the halving. Generally, this pre-halving period is one for reaccumulation as well. We've seen sideways price action prior to halving 2016. We've seen pre-halving retraces as well. We've seen retracements that can go quite deep, flash crashes. Also, really important to understand that a deeper retrace could occur over the next 6 months or so, simply because price doesn't go up in one straight line in an uninterrupted uptrend. So it's always a possibility that we could still see a deeper retrace to scoop up some Bitcoin at a discount, and that's going to be a bargain buying opportunity going into the halving. Whatever sideways accumulation range that we might see, whatever deeper retrace we could see, those are all opportunities for buying Bitcoin in the pre-halving period in preparation for the post-halving parabolic trend that occurs after the halving, simply because we've seen this parabolic upside be enjoyed after the halving many times, and we're probably going to see that occur once again in this current cycle. So really important to capitalize on those pullbacks, capitalize on any sideways price action that we could see in the future, and capitalize especially on the pre-halving retrace, which is designed to shake you out, for also shaking out people that are buying in anticipation of profiting from the halving event, which then get also shaken out because they're selling the hype, they're selling the rumor, anticipating that rumor and selling to profit on it, but also capitulating because they think that price will not go any higher, but always does. It always enters that post-halving parabolic price action and uptrend. So really important to capitalize on any sideways action and also any downside that we can see going into the halving. That's about it for today's video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video, enjoy content like this going forward, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.